Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Ross Johnston. The Tennessee Titans are back at home on Sunday as they host their old friend Mike Vrabel and the 4-2 New England Patriots at noon. You can listen to pregame coverage here on The Zone starting at 9 a.m. with the Lee Company countdown to kickoff, followed by Titans radio coverage at 11. Also, there are 4 players who have been ruled out for Sunday per Easton Freeze: offensive lineman Blake Hance, receiver Bryce Oliver, edge rusher Arden Key, and receiver Calvin Ridley. Head coach Mike McCoy also said that they will make a decision on defensive tackle T'Vondre Sweat sometime tomorrow. The Vols head down to Tuscaloosa tomorrow for an SEC matchup with the Alabama Crimson Tide. The number 11 ranked Vols will be searching for a road win over the number 6 ranked Tide in Tuscaloosa for the first time since 2003. You can catch Vol Network's coverage here on The Zone starting around 12:30 Central with kickoff set for 6:30 p.m. Lastly, number 17 Vanderbilt hosts number 10 LSU tomorrow in Nashville with kickoff set for 11 a.m. Central. For all your foundation repair, waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all 4 Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. I'm broadcasting live from the Circus Sports studio. Circus Sports is Kentucky's largest sports book, and you can be found at Circus Sports at Kentucky Downs. And we'll be joined here shortly by Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Going to go talk a little bit of Vandy LSU, third Saturday in October, and some other SEC games with him. We're going to have the Lions Den Best Bets, which hit 4 of their 5 bets last week. Just want to say, hop on the money train while it's rolling. And then we'll also talk to Jordan DeJaney of CBS Sports, go around the NFL him. And then, of course, we got Patriots versus Titans. And just got to say this, I'm slowly starting to convince myself that there's a lot of voodoo around this game that I think the Titans are going to win. It has nothing to do with the players on my confidence in the roster, coaching players in the field. Just the NFL, sometimes the universe speaks to you, Blaine. And we'll talk about that and some of the weird quirks in that. Of course, we'll be joined by Chris Phillips coming up first.
What does the voodoo say about your Alabama shirt you have on?
Feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good. Here's what I know. I know that Tennessee fans that have been texting me and stuff, they're way more focused on what a radio show guy said about Rocky Top and Dixieland Delight than they are about the game. So they've already chalked it up as a loss is what I'm thinking.
Oh,
so,
really?
But we got Chris Phillips. And Chris Phillips, I want to start with you. I'm an Alabama fan. We obviously, a lot of Tennessee fans, Rocky Top, Dixieland Delight. I find them both annoying songs, and I don't know why fans care so much about those songs and the location of where they were written or what they're sung about or whatever. I'm tired of hearing both of them.
Well, first things first, guys. Appreciate you having me on as always. I like both, actually. I got to be honest. Those are 2 songs of the SEC, man. You go down to Tuscaloosa. My first time ever experiencing Dixieland Delight in person was last year. Thought it was incredible, and then Rocky Top will just get stuck in your head, man. I don't know. Neither really bother me. They don't get under my skin like they do you, apparently.
Well, I mean, I guess it's because, I've been around Tennessee long enough now that, up in Tennessee, I'll get there. I'll land this plane. Since we moved up to Tennessee in 2002, we always ate at Rippy's a lot. And Rippy's has a lot of live music, and there'd be a lot of drunk people that go pay them to play Dixie or play one of those 2 songs and Wagon Wheel. So I'm throwing Wagon Wheel in there, but it's really Broadway. And then I was also part of a fraternity at Memphis that loved Dixieland Delight, and I'm tired of that song as well. So I'm just like I'm tired of just all these songs.
Listen, I've got too many good Alabama and Tennessee buddies to come live on air and diss something they love so dearly. So I'm a fan of both. It hasn't been outplayed for me yet. I'm sure I'll get to that point, though.
All right. SEC Unfiltered, the tailgate will be had at Vanderbilt this weekend. So it's a local tailgate. You guys got to go say hey to Chris Phillips out there.
I'm going to be at the game. Where is it at?
First Bank Stadium, baby. Lot 2 specifically is the tailgate.
Okay, gotcha.
I know this is bad radio, by the way, but for those watching on air, we've got the Vandy edition SEC Unfiltered hat, the black, the gold. We just got in a bunch of merch today. It's going to be a huge weekend, man. Guys, selfishly, obviously, we've been talking all season. I've been on the road, going to all these different great venues and having a great time. But I've been looking forward to this weekend for quite some time, having a quote-unquote home game, a game in my backyard. So many great people I've met throughout my months living in Nashville that have supported the business, supported me as an entrepreneur, and it all kind of comes to a head this weekend and comes full circle when we get after it. So I'll actually be headed out here shortly, going to go to the football stadium, start shooting some content, hanging around the campus, and we'll let the weekend begin. It'll be a weekend out in Nashville for yours truly, but we'll have a camera in hand. That'll be the biggest difference. So, no, looking forward to it, man. Lot 2 is going to be incredible. We're going to get out there first thing in the morning, and we're expecting a great game, too. How about the Doors, guys, being favored against a top 10 team for the first time ever? So it's a pretty big one tomorrow afternoon, no doubt.
Favored by 1.5 points right now. So
first time
it was
ever.
2.5, I think, this morning. Then I drove into work, and then it went down to 1.5. Where are you at on the confidence level in Vanderbilt to hang around with LSU? Because they've been able to hang around pretty much with any team that they played. Some teams that they beat very handedly. But LSU seems like a team that's, kind of needing a win more than really Vanderbilt feels like they do.
Well, you must have missed my prediction because my confidence level for them to hang around is through the roof. I feel pretty confident in winning also. I picked a 2-score win for Vandy.
Wow.
I have no trust in LSU whatsoever, man. I think Garrett Nussmeier's inconsistent. The offense has been abysmal. They can't run the football. They're elite defensively, but Vandy coming off of the bye week, I think they learned a lot about themselves in Tuscaloosa, some good, some bad. I think they got outside of themselves and got away from playing Vanderbilt football, as Diego Pavia said when they went to Tuscaloosa. If we play Vandy football, it won't be close. Well, what is Vandy football, guys? It's taking care of the football. It's winning time of possession. It's playing good defense. They didn't really do any of those things. They lost the turnover battle, right? I think they'll get back more so to that. Vanderbilt's running backs, guys, in that game against Alabama had 6 carries. They're running backs. 6 total carries. That is no recipe to win. I think they'll get back to 20, 30 carries with their running backs, obviously letting Diego Pavia do his thing. But I think the nation is reminded yet again tomorrow, this team and this program is so much more than Diego Pavia. It's what Clark Lee has built. I think Vandy does more than hang around, guys. I think they win, and I think they win by double digits. I just think they're the better football team. LSU might be top to bottom more talented, the star composite, whatever. I think Vandy's the better football team. I think that's going to show through tomorrow.
I mean, double scores, whew, that's pretty big. That's a big confidence level.
I just think this LSU offense, man, they've been so bad. I mean, and it may be a one possession game, but this LSU offense has just been so bad, guys. I don't think they've scored. I think the stat, I may be butchering this, but it's something like they haven't scored more than 25 points against anybody not named Southeastern Louisiana. I mean, that offense has struggled mightily. I think Clark Lee and company, I think they'll get after Garrett Nussmeier. It's going to be a long day for him. So I think Vandy controls the game start to finish, and I think they walk out of there with a win.
Okay, if Vanderbilt does get a win, I know it's a loss against a ranked opponent, but it is technically Vanderbilt. There's maybe a air about losing to Vanderbilt that probably shouldn't be there, kind of a stink because they are actually a good team. But LSU fans are going to be pretty upset if they lose to Vanderbilt, right?
Well, and here's the thing, guys. This thing it's essentially at a boiling point, and they're just ready to explode as is. Like, there's not a more disgruntled fan base for a team that is 5-1 than LSU fans. Like, you talk to them, if you have any conversation with LSU folks, you think they're 1-5. I mean, they're so just disgusted with the way the product looks on the field, how bad the offense is, the inconsistencies with Garrett Nussmeier, the offensive line. There's some rumblings about Brian Kelly, and not everybody in that fan base is a huge fan of him either. Is he a good fit, et cetera, et cetera? If they lose to Vanderbilt tomorrow, that you haven't seen unhinged till you see what that fan base is going to be like, especially on social media. But I mean, guys, whether it's this week, whether it's next week when they play A&M at home, whether it's when they go to Tuscaloosa and play Bama, I think it's coming. Like right now, I'm pretty confident that LSU is probably going to be on the outside looking in when it comes to the college ball playoff, whether that's going to be 9-3, maybe that's 8-4 again. And I don't know that Brian Kelly gets fired per se because the buyout's so insane, but it's going to be a very uncomfortable offseason for BK.
With that being said, Chris, I'm interested. Do you know a little bit more about Nussmeier's injury and what the extent of his injury is? A lot of people here are asking on the chat because nobody knows. Sometimes they said he may not play, then he's playing injured. Kind of take us through what maybe you've heard about the quarterback, let alone the offense and the offensive line haven't been playing well, but he hasn't either. So is there something to that, or maybe it's a little overhyped?
So it depends on who you ask. Do I think there's an injury there? I think he's probably a little bit uncomfortable, or has been at least in the past. I think when you look at the velocity on some of the footballs he's thrown, especially I go back and watch that Ole Miss game, and it doesn't look like vintage Garrett Nussmeier. I've got some buddies that cover LSU independently that I've talked to off the record. I won't use the colorful language they used in describing it, but let's just say they're not totally sold that it's just because he's hurt, right? They may be questioning some of the toughness, if you will, just to be transparent. But I don't know. Do I think he's a little banged up? Sure, but I don't know how much of an excuse that is when everybody's a little banged up this time of year, guys. I mean, Diego Pavia played half the season last year on I don't think it was a torn ACL, but something. He had a major injury, played half the season on. Like, everybody's got a little something. I think for Garrett Nussmeier, it's more about decision making. It's about making good decisions, and that's something he has not been able to do at a consistent enough rate. It does not look like he's taken that step forward that many of us thought he would from last year to this year. So I don't think about the injury. I'll put it that way. When I think about, like, what are the factors of the game? Well, what's the health of Garrett Nussmeier? Whether he's 80%, 90%, 100%, he's got to make better decisions, bottom line.
When it comes to Florida, obviously Billy Napier, there's a lot of rumors that whether win or lose, he's fired after this game coming up on Saturday. Is that true? I mean, even if he wins by double digits and it's a very convincing win, they're still going to fire him?
Let me put it this way, guys. He gone. He gone. He gone. It don't matter what happens. He gone. Billy Napier's gone. He's cooked. He's finished. He's, as the kids would say today, he's chopped. You're chopped, Dunk. You're chopped. Yeah, he's donezo. I just, there's no other way to put it. I don't think it matters. This is kind of a Jimbo Fisher at A&M situation. You guys remember he beat Mississippi State by like 40 points, and then the Sunday after they got rid of him. Listen, I don't blame him. It's time. I don't think a win over Mississippi State fixes anything, rectifies anything, of the sort. I think it's time. It's time for Florida to go a different direction. We have proof of concept. We know from what we've seen the Billy Napier thing's not working out. I think the timing is kind of interesting, but then again, it makes sense. You've got a bye week next week. You got that last stretch of games, which includes the game, obviously, against Georgia in Jacksonville. You look down the schedule at Ole Miss, Tennessee, Florida State to close it out. So, but yeah, it's time. I think it's time you get an early start of the head coaching search. I think there's one name in mind they all have who is actually on their schedule down the stretch. So, but yeah, it's time. I don't think it matters. And the folks I've talked to folks that work for Florida. I've talked to folks that have family members that are boosters at Florida. There's a lot of smoke, and typically where there's that much smoke, there's fire. I think they're done with Billy.
Would that be the coach that you're alluding to be the November 15th game against Ole Miss?
He's got a big date in Athens this weekend, if that gives you any indication. Yeah, the November 15th. That is the guy they want. Of course, for those listening, we're talking about Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. Mm-hmm. Guys, I've been told as much as there are a handful of folks, 4 or 5, that are going to make this decision on the next head football coach, the panel, if you will. One of those is Steve Spurrier, and Steve Spurrier wants Lane Kiffin. I've been told that off very good authority when I was down in Gainesville a few weeks ago. That's the guy Spurrier wants. So, does he take it? I don't know, but I think they're going to throw the kitchen sink at Lane and tell him, hey, you talked about how much you love Coach Spurrier. He's your inspiration. Well, he's right here. He wants you to be the next guy. You've had dreams of making this happen. It's right here in front of you. Let's do it. So he's going to have to tell him no.
Well, if he does say no, Chris, what would be plan B? Because if you're a board member and you're trying to push one and it doesn't work out and you don't have your B plan, no different in life, then you're nuts and bolts. You got screwed. So and he'll get a raise, Lane Kiffin, that is. So what would be plan B?
Yeah, I think you do have to have a plan B because there's no guarantees. I think Lane's really happy in Oxford from folks I talked to. He's back with his ex-wife. His kids are in school there. Like there's a lot of, and it's just a good fit for him. It's Oxford. He needed Oxford as much as Oxford needed him, I think, from the folks I've talked to, just getting everything on the straight and narrow in his life per se. But the plan B, I will tell you guys, I'm not a huge endorser of the John Gruden thing. I know some folks are going to go there. I just, I don't, there's not a proof of concept that he's going to win in college. It always kind of makes my skin crawl. We talk about some of these NFL guys trying their hand in college football, but hey, he'd be great from a content perspective. So I wouldn't hate it there. I think you look at a guy like a Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. I know that's the name they've thrown around. I think you look at a guy, I would throw in the name Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri. I would say, Brent Key is a name at Georgia Tech that folks have talked about. Again, maybe not as much a household name as those first two, but he's a guy that's won big at Georgia Tech. He would bring one thing they haven't had at a Napier, which is discipline, a high level of discipline. He's a no-nonsense guy, former offensive lineman. Those guys typically tend to be that way. And guys outside of that, I'm not 100% sure because, here's what I know they're not going to do. They're not going back to the G5 ranks because some folks are going to throw out John Summerall or Alex Golish or some of these other guys, these up-and-comers. They don't want an up-and-comer, guys. Florida wants a dude. They want a name. And who are the guys that have had success in that job, right? They've been brash, bold, cocky, arrogant, offensive-minded gurus. That's who they have hired that have had the most success. I think they're going to want to go that direction again, but they want a proven winner. They don't want to do what they did with the Billy Napier thing and roll the dice. I think Florida feels like they are above that. So, at some point, guys, obviously you got to get somebody to say yes, but let's not forget, Florida's still one of the best jobs in college football. When you think about the resources, the history, the tradition, they'll be able to get somebody. Just the question is who.
Well, speaking of coaches, it's no guarantee Petrino's going to be Arkansas, do you think? And who would be of interest to you would be a good fit for that job?
Now, this is a different scenario, right? This is not hey, we've got to go out there and get one of the top 5 coaches in the country. This is, I think you can roll the dice a little bit more because the expectations, just to be frank, aren't what they are at Arkansas, what they are at Florida per se. First off, I don't think Bobby Petrino is going to get the job long term. Maybe there's some advantages to it because there's so much familiarity and maybe the fan base would really rally. I have no doubt the fan base would rally behind him and get behind him. But, guys, for lack of a better way of putting it, this is a young man's game, dude. The way the NIL and portal and recruiting is now, this is – and I'm not saying maybe Bobby Petrino's still got that hustle in him. Maybe he's got that dog in him. But you better have that dog in you. You better have that hustle about you because – that's what it is, right? There's no really off season anymore. These coaches are working around the clock, 24/7, 365. So I don't think I'm retreading with Bobby Petrino if I'm then. I'm looking more at a Rhett Lashley at SMU. I know that's a little bit of a long shot because SMU, in case you guys don't know, they got money down there in Dallas, that part of Dallas specifically. I think SMU will pay him whatever to make sure he doesn't leave, but that would be a good name. He's got Arkansas ties. Now, I think for them, some of the names I just mentioned, John Summerall at Tulane, Alex Golish at South Florida, I think these are guys that maybe you try to roll the dice on and say, hey, let's give one of these young up-and-comers, one of these dudes having success at the lower level, let's give him his first big-time shot, and let's see what we get out of it, right? So I think things are a little bit different at Arkansas. I don't think you can be quite as picky, if I'm being totally honest. The job's it's just not as attractive, guys. Let's make no mistake. Florida's down and out right now, but we can all picture them being back at the top of the SEC within a couple of years. Arkansas is a program, guys. It goes as far as I asked my buddy who covers Arkansas this over the summer, and I like to look at things in terms of a decade. I said, realistically, over the course of a decade, how many times should Arkansas make the college football playoff? Guys, he said 0. That's how low the expectations are. They said, hey, we shouldn't make the playoff. 0. So there are no expectations. There are no standards. Bring in a young, fiery guy who's going to instill some obviously some core values and instill some winning culture there. Raise the expectation level a little bit. Get a guy in there who can win 7-8 games consistently per year, maybe every 3 or 4 years. You're knocking on the door of 9-10 wins in a college football playoff.
Well, Chris, I'll let Zach ask you about a little bit more about other games, but I want to ask you this. You just made me think, who's the most overrated coach in the SEC? Because it seems like they keep, revisiting other schools of other coaches in the same conference. Like, there are other good coaches outside of the SEC. So who's overrated as a coach in the SEC?
Most overrated. That is such a good question. I'm trying to think. Most over. I'm going to get in trouble with this one. I probably would go Brian Kelly at LSU at this point. I mean, he's a guy that, again, has never really been able to win the big one. BK's not a bad coach, but has just kind of always been the bridesmaid, never the bride. So here's the funny thing, though. I say BK's overrated. He's also probably one of the most disliked head coaches in the SEC, just from the folks I talk to. There's a lot of folks that are not – I mean, even LSU fans don't like him to a degree. Like, there's a lot of them that don't love the guy. There's no coach that feels more like an outsider to this conference than Brian Kelly.
He's definitely the most unlikable person. My wife, we watched Any Given Saturday, and she goes, I hate this guy.
Yeah. So, maybe you throw overrated tag on him as well.
Yeah.
I know it's a hot debate, but I'll go Brian Kelly.
Well, all of his championships came from like the Super Nintendo conferences and stuff like that. I don't even know the names of these conferences.
Out,
some of them.
Max,
I've always thought he was overrated.
For the Mac, man, watch out.
He's not the bridesmaid. He's like the ring bearer, the flower girl or something. Like in the wedding party.
Have to start somewhere, but man, he is not they didn't even like him at Notre Dame.
No,
they didn't like him.
Last thing we can't let you go. So last question: third Saturday in October. What's your feelings about it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Zach, I see you wearing the Alabama pullover, so I don't know if this is a setup or what, but
that's because he's gonna have to wear a UT, hoodie next
Nobody
week.
will take my bet.
Oh, I'm betting you then.
Oh, is there a bet? Is there a bet on the table?
Everybody's scared. Everybody's scared to bet him.
I'm the only Alabama fan at this entire station, and so I put out a bet to the show after ours. The producer who failed to pass this along to his show, so if they're listening, they can say that if Alabama wins, they should play the Alabama fight song as bump music for at least 2 hours of their show.
Oh,
and then we would do Rocky Top over here. At least. Because we're only a 2-hour show, so it'd be fair. Unfair.
Okay.
And Chris, feel free to hurt his feelings with this pick too.
Yeah.
No, I mean, listen, I hate to say it to the to the disappointment to all the others in the studio. I think, Zach, you're going to be a very happy camper Saturday night because I got Bama and I got Bama covering. I think, listen, Tennessee's a good football team. Bama's on a different level right now. I think the way Ty Simpson is playing, which, again, I'll say this every single week until it's not the case anymore, I'm giddy that I have that Ty Simpson Heisman ticket because his stock just keeps rising weekly. Got him at plus 1,800. He's at like plus 320 now. So, yeah, I mean, listen, he's playing out of this world. The big thing is this. If Jam Miller does not play for Bama, which it looks like he's probable, and I think he probably will go, but if he did not play, that's certainly something that would concern me because they look like a different offense before he was out there. But, man, the way they're just clicking on all cylinders, they're doing whatever they want on the offensive side. There's no quarterback that I think is more poised and more confident than what Ty Simpson is. Defensively, I think they can do some things to disrupt Joey Aguilar, who's a guy has played really good football this year, but he's kind of like a John Mateer, guys. He's a little bit of a gunslinger. He's a risk taker. I think he'll take a couple risks Saturday night that are gonna hurt him. I do. Offensive game, I think both offenses will have some success. This Tennessee offense has been one of the best, if not the best, in the country. But at home, at night, and guys, this is Ty Simpson's Super Bowl. The guy's from the state of Tennessee. I believe he was committed to Tennessee at one point. You think this game don't mean a lot to that kid? I think he's going to go out there, play his best football, and I think Bama gets a double-digit win, right at like 10 points. I think they cover the spread. Tuscaloosa at home at night, man. It's just it'd be the same thing if we were talking about like last year when Bama had to go to Rocky Top, Neyland, that atmosphere. I like the Crimson Tide at home, man. I think at night they're going to play their best football, and I think they get the win.
All right, lot 2 over at Vanderbilt for the Vanderbilt versus LSU game is where you can hang out with Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Chris, we'll see you next week.
Appreciate you guys. Always a pleasure.
All right, thanks. Coming up next, we'll go around the NFL with Jordan DeJaney of CBS Sports' Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Whoa!